Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Handyman Internet TV show, where we are putting spiritual tools into the hands of people that need them. My name is Jason Antelik. I am your host, and today we are going to be talking to Joyce Blue about money and manifesting money and the money mindset. Yes, that's right. We're going to be talking about abundance in our lives. Joyce is going to help us out with some tips and tricks on how we can create more abundance in not just our financial space, but in all areas of our life. Reminding everyone that the Spiritual Handyman is available on YouTube. We post a new episode every Thursday, and we would love to have you like and share as you can, make those comments, and for sure subscribe to the channel, because then you are aware of what the next episode is when it posts and how it's relevant to you. So we're also available on thespiritualhandyman.com. You can hook up with the podcast there. If you are more of a listener than a viewer, we are also now on Spotify. Yes, that's a real thing. We made it to the big leagues, so you can check us out there as well. All right, let's get to the show today. As I said, we have Joyce Blue is with us, and she is an abundance specialist, is what I would call her. She works with money mindsets and with helping people recognize where their limiting beliefs around abundance and money are, and how to get those things shifted, changed, and eradicated so that you can have all the goodies in your life. And we all like goodies. So let's talk to my wonderful friend and colleague here. We just met in London at the Public Speakers Association conference, so we got to meet in person, and she is joining us in Denver for an event in August of 2019 as well. So this is a lady that you need to know. So let's do it here. Joyce, please tell the folks a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you. And you guys need to go listen to all the old episodes if you haven't yet, because they are amazing. Jason is amazing. And I was super excited to meet him. And we just had really good swap of energy. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you. So yes, I do work with money mindset, but that was quite a road. So I was very blessed to have an entrepreneurial father who owned his own upholstery business and really taught us, or me, from a very young age that about money and how to be empowered with money and how to have abundance and get out of the scarcity mindset. Both my parents came from lack. My dad was 7 of 12, left Missouri when he was 14, hopped a freight train. How anybody got anywhere with no GPS back then, I have no idea, because if you're hopping a freight train, you're not asking for directions. So anyway, got himself to California and just really made something of his life. And my mom was farmed out when she was young, so money was not, she was hired out for money and was not something that she ever had an abundance of in her life. So my dad just really had a fabulous head on his shoulders and really empowered himself around finances and abundance and money, and just we had a really comfortable, I had a very comfortable upbringing. And so I fell in the hole just past my 20th birthday. I had about $6,000 or $7,000 in the bank. It was a long time ago. Somebody said, "How do you not remember that?" Well, I don't want to tell you how many years ago, but it was a long time ago. So I do know that it was in that range, probably about $6,700 is my best guess, but I just say between 6 and 7. And back then, that was a lot more than it is today. So I fell in love with this cook that I worked with and put him on my bank account right after we got married. Didn't ask those empowering questions of, why don't you have a bank account? And You know, what do you do with your money? We did date for a while. He seemed to spend his money wisely, as far as I could tell. But anyway, after the I do's, that really changed. And he had no problem spending the money that was in my account. And about 6 months into that journey, I found myself in a physically abusive relationship with zero money left in the bank and a lot of debt. So I talk about how I followed him out onto the driveway one day, and he was on his way to work. So I knew that I had a little bit more leeway. He didn't really have time to get too angry and do too much damage. So I was trying to figure out where the money was going to come from to pay those bills that we had acquired. Because back then there was no such thing as direct deposit. Your employer handed you a paycheck and you had to actually go to the bank and cash it and come home with the money if you didn't deposit it. So anyway, he got up in my face and he said to me, he said, "You will never leave me. You need me too much." And he got in his car and he drove away. And I started to cry, and I went in the house and I cried some more. And I was a pretty fearless kid. I was the kind of kid that if you told me I couldn't do something, that was exactly what I was going to go and do. So that little piece of me that was still in there kind of spoke up and said, "Hey, you know, you've done nothing to deserve this. And by the way, he just told you that you would never leave because you needed him too much. So you need to leave. And you've needed to leave. And you don't deserve this. You've never deserved this. And you're better than this." And so I got in my car and I drove to my parents' house and proceeded to move everything out that night. Within a couple of days, I had my own room in a home with some friends, my own bank account again, and just started the journey to unraveling all the destruction that had been caused financially, and took those principles that my dad had taught me, kind of tweaked them and refined them. And as I went on my way, I taught people how to do the same thing I had done and continued to tweak and refine. And then about 4 years ago, I found neuroscience. And that was a huge light bulb moment. It was like, oh my gosh, this is the whole reason why I can teach people to get out of debt, and some will stay out and some within a couple of months are right back in, because it all has to do with all our underlying belief system that is under there. So the XYZ of how to get out of debt is really the easy part. It's the digging in there and uprooting all those things that are in our subconscious to get rid of them so we can have true abundance and peace in our life.
Well, that's a lot of journey. That's a lot of ups and downs there, and I'm glad to see you came out of this side of it the way that you have, and that you're using that information to help some other people. I know that for myself, that I have that roller coaster, and I have, debt. We all have debt in some form or another, or well, you probably don't, but that's because you're the queen, right? And I know I'm interested in what it means to look at the underlying beliefs. So what do you mean by those? What does that mean? The stuff underneath. What are we talking about there?
So a limiting belief is something that limits a thought that you have that limits you in some way. So it can be a belief about you, it could be a belief about others, or belief about the world or money, right? And if it's holding you back or keeping you from where you want to be, then we need to shift that, reframe it, uproot it, do something with it to excavate it so that it's not there anymore. And a lot of the things that we have in our subconscious, really we developed between the age of birth and 7. And I know we hear that a lot, but it really is true. And it could be as simple as an event that happened in our life, but because we were so much younger, we wrapped some other kind of story around it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say a teenage girl gets pregnant, and her mother tells her that her life is over. So the event is she's pregnant, right? The story is that her life is over. Is her life really over? No, that's just a story. And so we have to peel the story off of the experience. And in doing that, we can see it in a different light. I had one client who her father used to literally light money on fire if she had it in her hands. So if she opened a birthday card and there was money or a check inside, he would take a match while she was holding it and burn it out of her hands. So she had a really deep rooted hatred for money and wrapped all sorts of stories around that. So that was one of the fun ones that, and I call it fun because to me, being able to help people get out of whatever that is that's limiting them is really what lights me up. And so to me, that's fun to help somebody be able to have that transformation in their life where they can get on the road to their goals and really have true abundance.
So for someone that has a negative connotation around money, whether that's a hatred or a fear or something along those lines, what would you say are the first tools to start moving that around?
Well, first we have to figure out what it is. And so deep diving with all of that, or if you're doing it by yourself, kind of brain dumping, say, okay, what do I remember? And in your meditation, you can always, go into your meditation with the intention of, I want to figure out what it is that's holding me back. I know that I'm safe, and, all these things that we can tell ourselves to really be able to have those things start to come to the surface. And then when you get done, write them down and then read back through them to kind of figure out what it is. Reframing is a great tool, and reframing works with anything in your life that you have a negative bias about. And I created a guide, which we'll, give later, but it really is very helpful to start there. And then the second thing would be affirmations. They're very powerful, but they are not a quick fix. And I tell people they're like brushing your teeth. You have to do them multiple times a day.
When you say affirmations, are we talking about, a statement that we're saying that we say repeatedly over and over, like a couple times a day or day after day? Is that
Right.
what you mean?
Yep, exactly. Like one of Bob Proctor's favorite affirmations is, I am happy and grateful now that, and then you fill in the blank with whatever it is. Let's say you believe that you're not good with money. I work with a lot of people that just don't think that they're good with money. They're making money, they have money coming in, but they just don't know where it's all going. So they have this underlying belief that they're just not good with money. And so a way to reframe that, so this is an example of a reframe, would be that I spend my money wisely. Now, whenever you start doing affirmations or reframing, that voice in your head, whether it's itty bitty or it was like mine saying, hey, you have no idea what you're doing, and there is no way this is going to work, and this is so ridiculous. You just need to stop doing this. But you have to just thank it for its input. Don't judge it. That's very important. You can say, oh, there you are again. Just thank it for its input and let it know that this is your new reality, and then keep going with the tools.
So the way you're explaining that is when something comes up and you become aware of it, that identifying it as something that's limiting, if it's holding you back, that you can just kind of look at it and have a different, just try to get a different perspective on it. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And like you said, that seems like it would work with everything.
Yes, once you learn to do it with one thing, you can apply that knowledge. And of course, you'll tweak the verbiage, right? But you can apply that then to other areas of your life, whether it's relationships with your family or spouse or friends or, your boss, work, anything.
So if I'm working on reframing something, I have two questions. First of all, in general, how long does that take? And second, if it's a deeper rooted thing, does it take longer?
Okay. So if you're just working with reframing and affirmations, how long it takes really depends on you. Now, as you know, I talked a little bit about this from the stage in London, but the whole 28 days to form a new habit is not true. So that was a misquote from a plastic surgeon who back in the 50s told somebody, hey, I noticed it takes about 28 days for my patients to start recognizing themselves in the mirror. Has nothing to do with rewiring your brain or forming a new habit. So it really, new neuroscience now says it takes anywhere from an average of 90 to 375 days to form a new habit. So when you're rewiring your neural pathways, if you're only using one or two tools and you're not doing the deep dive or working with somebody else, then it's going to take you a little bit longer than if you're maybe well versed in this form or working with a coach or someone else, like if you're very spiritual, you could be working with your swami or a shaman or somebody else who's guiding you spiritually.
So what I'm hearing is that the reframing and the awareness of those things and identifying and working with them through consistent attention, affirmations, meditation, that those things will work, but they take longer than if you work with somebody.
Correct.
And that I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, I am a practitioner, but I always wonder how do you determine where you're at on that spectrum? I guess if I'm doing it for 3 months and nothing's changed, then I probably need some help. Or am I looking for something that's really, if it's very deep rooted, that's probably a clear sign that some assistance is in order?
Yeah, very definitely. And, sometimes I work with people and that shift is immediate. But we're in a relationship where we're digging into those things and they're not just off doing it on their own.
So
So
support is a big part of really making a shift that lasts, right?
exactly.
It's kind of
We
like
are
if
less capable of helping ourselves because we're our own tree in our own forest, right? So
right.
somebody else is helping us. They have like the helicopter view and they can tell us which way to turn and,
It's
help
kind of
us
like
along the
when
whole.
you go on a diet or get a personal trainer, like you can go on the diet and try it for yourself, but when you get a personal trainer, somebody that understands what you're working with, they can give you a more direct path to the results that you want and help you create the habits that allow you to keep that health, to keep that, your weight where you want it, or your heart rate down where you need it to be. So enlisting a professional really does have its advantages. And you're saying specifically around repatterning beliefs that that's an important aspect.
Exactly.
Is that would you say why a lot of people they fail themselves in the financial place? So even though they might, hey, I spent all of June having a really positive attitude about money, but it didn't change.
Definitely. Yes. So often we are looking for the quick fix, and you have to remember, how long did it take you to get to where you're at? If it took you 6 years and you want to fix it in 30 days, then you have to, have some realistic expectations. There are a lot of things, even if it took you 6 years to get in to the situation that you're in, that you can fix or change or reframe or whatever in 30 days, but you're not necessarily going to be to your ultimate goal in 30 days. A lot of times I find with people, it's just a little 2 millimeter distinction in what it is that they're trying to accomplish or working on.
Mm-hmm.
That shift in the brain doesn't really take that long, especially if they're into personal development and spirituality and things like that. So,
Yeah, I do notice a lot that a minor shift can have a huge impact, an overall impact. Just those aha moments or that epiphany. But a lot of us, even though we have those moments or we have that spiritual thing happen to us, it doesn't really stick, right?
right.
We don't always follow up, or we don't take ourselves along the path. And it sounds like what you offered, you spoke about it earlier, that you have something that really kind of is for people around that money mindset, the next step. So share with us what it is that that you offer to folks.
Great. So, I developed a guide to help people learn to reframe limiting beliefs about money. And so I took 23 common ones that I've heard quite often over the last 20 years and put them into this guide. And then I developed 2 reframes for each one. So, because we all resonate with different things, right? So it's like you may resonate with one of the reframes and not the other, which is fine. It's to teach you how to do it for yourself. And so in the guide, it does talk about how to utilize the guide. It's not just here's this and look at it and, have fun. There are actual instructions on the guide so that you can work with it and get results for yourself. I was in a Facebook group and chatting with a gal that was talking about, how her money was all messed up and she used to be debt free, but she wasn't anymore. And I sent her the URL for the guide. And within 2 days, she had sent me back this 5-year plan that she had with her husband and told me that they were both using the guide. And in another 30 days, she contacted me and gave me this amazing update that they had already figured out how they were going to consolidate that 5 years even more. And they were getting ready to buy a house. So I was excited. It works if you work with it.
So the key to it is not just reaching out and getting it, but actually applying the things that you're gifting to folks. Saying, here, this is what will work for you. There's something in this book or in this manual, in this gift that will resonate, that will help your experience.
Exactly. We can go listen to podcasts all day long or watch amazing TV shows all day long or YouTube or go to Tony Robbins and motivate different motivational speakers. But if we don't take action, absolutely nothing will change.
It's so true. I say that all the time. You have to take the action.
Yep,
Awareness, appreciation, and action. Like the A's always work for me. So
that's right.
so Joyce,
Absolutely.
how do people get this amazing gift from you? How do they get in touch with you?
Okay. So to get the guide, you can go to moremoneymethod.com. So it's www.moremoneymethod.com. And you'll see my bright smiley face and the button to click to go and grab that for yourself.
Fantastic. And then there's more about you and what you do. If somebody wants to work with you, they can find that information on your website at say it again,
moremoneymethod.com.
moremoneymethod.com. All right.
Right.
All right.
And,
Excellent.
yeah. And if they're into Facebook or Instagram, obviously it would be facebook.com/ or instagram.com/. They can find me at Empowering You LEC. And I have a Facebook page, and there's a little about thing there for me. And then on Instagram, I post Monday through Friday, great motivational stuff.
Awesome. So I will include those links down in the description of the video, and you will be able to reach out to Joyce personally if you need to, or follow her on Instagram, or join that Facebook page and get some information for yourself as well. So Joyce, thank you on behalf of the Spiritual Handyman community for the information and the share, and for the free gift that hopefully some people will take advantage of and use, because taking action is how we get it done. So thank you so much for taking the time, and it's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, Jason. Thank you too.
So everybody, thank you for watching and viewing. We appreciate your patronage. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, take an opportunity to subscribe so that you too can be apprised of when the new episodes release. If you are following us and commenting, we appreciate that. We're also on Instagram and at thespiritualhandyman.com. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.
The Spiritual Handyman, bringing spiritual tools to the hands of the people who need them. Sponsored by the Eagle Heart Foundation. The Eagle Heart Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that brings charitable contributions and educational enhancements to the people. So how can you be a part of the Spiritual Handyman and the Eagle Heart Foundation? The Triple Win Situation. This book was written by Granddaughter Crow, and half of the proceeds go to the Eagle Heart Foundation, which in turn sponsors the Spiritual Handyman. How to get it one? It's on Amazon and Kindle for only $9.99. So we are here to bring tools to you. Thank you so much, Spiritual Handyman. We believe in what you do.